yeah, as realtors, you guys can let people know we exist and now have some awareness of what we do and how it can help them. That is so beneficial because a lot of people don't know we exist and they're just feeling alone and stressed out. And we just want them to know that there's an organizer that is willing to help you.
Good morning, In the House podcast fans. I'm Jenny Woon.
I'm Tony Singh.
And we have a guest, Christa Jones. Welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on. You are the founder of Rose City Professional Organizing. You basically specialize in serving Central Alberta and Edmonton. And, being a professional organizer can take a lot of mental and physical strength. We'll get into that a little bit later. But you're also a speaker, you're a workshop facilitator. You help business owners on their businesses. So we're going to go into a whole bunch of stuff because there's tons that you've been working on. You're a mother with 2 kids. And tell us a little bit, let's start off with your business, Rose City Professional Organizing. How did that name come about, first of all? When did you start it? And how did you become a professional organizer?
Okay, yeah, great questions. Thanks again for having me on. I basically was just one summer cleaning the front yard, and my neighbor started unloading boxes from her trunk into her garage. And when I asked her what she was doing, she said her dad was moving into long-term care, and so they needed to deal with all his stuff and move him out of his house. And I said, if you need any help going through the boxes to sort things into categories so we can take things to him at the hospital and ask him, what do you want to give away to family? What do you want to keep? What can we donate? She's like, oh, that would be amazing. So I went home to visit my mom and told her about this conversation. And she said that, oh, you could totally help people with their clutter. And I Googled clutter coach and I found the Professional Organizers of Canada website. And I thought, okay, this is a thing. Like, people are doing this. So I searched the websites from some of the women that were on there and saw, what they were charging. And I figured I could do this. I could definitely help. And so I created a Facebook page. And I think the headshot was from like 10 years ago before I had my kids. And I just put it up on Facebook Marketplace, mommy groups, buy and sell groups, just saying, clear the clutter and calm your life. And I had a client within 5 minutes message me to come to her storage room that week. So it was just kind of like an action. I just took action and just did it, and it happened. It had evolved from there. But the name comes from my mom. Her name is Rose, and it was her idea. So I give her credit for that.
Clear the clutter, calm your life.
Yeah.
Very strong tagline.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to start with our icebreaker question.
That's okay. We're good.
Okay.
Ask it now.
What is your spirit animal?
Oh, okay. I would say probably like a sea turtle. I'm like a huge fan of the ocean. We go away to the ocean as much as we can. And I think turtles are amazing. Like, they carry their home on their back. And I've moved so much in my life that I had to do that too. And they're so fast in the water, and, they just can get anywhere and go anywhere and do anything. And some of the tricks they can do underwater, it's just, yeah, it's amazing.
Well, one of the metrics you mentioned on your website, you were able to increase your revenue by 60%, I guess, in the first year, and also sustainably profitable by 25%. And now you're actually helping other business owners and entrepreneurs with kind of maybe the same system.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, how did you do that? Number one, but also one of the hardest things is learning how to measure that. So, you know what I mean? Like, you just keep doing the business, but don't really look at budgeting. You don't really look at how you're growing year to year. Are there like certain tricks or methods or softwares that you would recommend for our listeners?
Yeah, so starting out, you could just use Google Sheets. That's what I did to save money, just to basically track your incoming revenue, your expenses, and then you'll know your profit. So a big part of being a successful business owner is being able to manage your money and your cash flow, and make sure that, you're being profitable. And that's one thing that I pride myself in with this business, is that I've never run a deficit. It started as a side hustle. And so all the money that I made in the beginning just got reinvested back into the business to grow it. And then it just became a full-time thing after I got laid off from my job because of COVID.
Yeah.
And so I was forced to go full-time with this once I was allowed to go back into homes. And so then the money had to be budgeted properly to pay my bills and my investments and the expenses of the business and stay profitable. So I think it just was tracking it all on a spreadsheet to make sure that I had that money flow. And then I also implemented Profit First. I don't know if you guys are familiar.
Mike McAllowitz.
She referenced that.
He's my boy. And I hired an accountant and a bookkeeper and a money coach in that second year of business because I just needed to outsource something. So I had more time on my hands, and she was my first outsource. And then about 6 months later, I started implementing the Profit First, set up all my business accounts.
Yep.
And all my personal accounts as well, and just made sure that whenever I had income drop into the business, that I was putting the proper percentage into profit, operating expense, emergency fund, and then the owner's compensation.
It's such a simple thing though, right? But we don't learn it in school. So,
no.
So I love the journey that you explained about, side hustle, and then you're doing it full time. How big is your team now?
So I have a team of 8 contractors in Edmonton region and Central Alberta. And we can serve, we can go all the way north to Fort McMurray, Slave Lake, if you want to pay the mileage and accommodation. We have done that. And then we can serve all the way down to Calgary and then east and west as well.
Wow, that's a big region.
Because they are spread out. Yeah. Some of my girls are rural, and so they're willing to drive and converge into the city as well as go out into the rural. So it's been really amazing to help so many people with all of those amazing women's help. I couldn't do that alone.
So because you're so spread out, what's the benefit of your, I guess, organizers that are working under your brand versus them going out on their own? Are you helping them with their marketing or business planning?
It's pretty amazing because I've never had to actually run an ad to get support or get help. All of the women that work with me, they've emailed me through my website and asked if they could work with me. And so they don't need to do any marketing or anything. They just are basically set up as sole proprietors, and then they go to jobs they want to go to and work with the clients they want to work with if I have an opportunity for them. And that's been pretty amazing for them because most of them just want to organize because they love it and they love the declutter coaching, but they don't want to run the business. So I do that for them.
And how do realtors right now, if I come to you and I'm like, I have this client that's a hoarder, how can we benefit from having you as our alliance partner and incorporate that into our listing presentations? And I'm going to say, I'm okay to say listing presentation because you used to be, Christa, a realtor as well for 5 years before becoming a professional organizer. So I think there's some appreciation with each other's business that you know what we're going through, and also we understand what you have to go through to get us to the end goal.
Yeah, it's awesome to have that experience. I was a realtor for 5 years in Fort McMurray before my children were born. And during boom time, and it was crazy. And so I understand the stresses and the struggle and the overwhelm, not just for the realtors, but for the clients. And that's where, we as professional organizers and declutter coaches and offering the moving services that we do, like packing and unpacking, is a huge benefit to the realtor's client because it relieves so much stress and overwhelm that comes with listing a home or selling a home or buying a home. I mean, you're adding on this massive stress to people's lives that are already busy and overwhelmed, right? And so it's asking a lot of someone's mental and emotional bandwidth. And so we love to come in and relieve that stress. It feels so good for us to help. And for a realtor to say to their client, here are our professional organizing partners that will come in and help you take care of all this extra stuff that now you've added to your plate
Yeah.
with deciding to move or buy or sell. And we want to, give you this resource so that you don't have to do this alone. And when a realtor offers that to their client and shows that they care about their client's mental and emotional health and the before and after of the home sale process, I mean, you are showing that you care about the whole process, not just the sale, not just, the paycheck. And so that's a really great referral and review kind of generator, because clients are going to tell their family and friends about you. Like, yeah, the realtor didn't just care about listing the house. She cared about the packing and the, unpacking and making sure that we had a resource and an organizer to help us with that. So it's really beneficial.
Two-part question. Just first question's in relation to what you were saying. I love that as an added service that, realtor referral partners, that kind of thing. How does that work in your day-to-day business? So let's say a realtor refers you to one of their seller clients. How does that work? Are they footing the bill for that as well? Or is it just setting it up with the client and then the client's compensating you guys directly?
We have a couple different arrangements, just depends on the realtor and the approach that they want to take. So a lot of times the realtor just needs us to get into the home, for, 3 or 4 hours before the listing photographer is going to go in, right? Because we need to declutter, depersonalize a bit, pack up some things with the client that they know they're going to move. The client may be ready to donate a bunch of stuff that we can haul away and drop off at the donation center, and then style a little bit. We have an interior designer on our team. I was in real estate. We know how to stage. We know how to style. We know how to use what the client already owns to make it look good and maybe add a couple things here and there, move some furniture around. And then the listing photographer doesn't have to do that. They don't have to worry about stuff in the way. So that, if a realtor wants to pay to have us come in and do that and say to the client, this is part of our listing package, and the benefit of listing with us is we get our professional organizer in before the listing photographer comes in. And then we're, just a part of the pre-list team.
Right.
The benefit of that too is that once we worked with the client, they fall in love with us and they are so impressed with, wow, this was so fast and so easy and I want you to come back. And so then at that point, I offer the client, well, because you're so-and-so's client, I will give you 10% discount on any package you purchase for your extra decluttering and packing and unpacking and new home setup. And so the realtor kind of gets our foot in the door to help the client with more of it, but the realtor doesn't have to pay for all of it. And sometimes realtors don't pay for it. They just give the brochure to the clients and the listing package and say, this is a resource for you. And they offer 10% to all my clients if you choose to use them for pre-list declutter. So, yeah.
And so I love this service because when sellers or buyers are moving, it is really emotional. There's a lot of things. People lead really busy lives, right? So it's a gift that you guys would be able to come in and help with that. Would you be able to, so I want to hear more about the process though from new client intake, but before I ask that question, are you able, I imagine there's different packages, right? And also depending on lifestyle and how someone lives, there could be more to declutter than other people. Can you give an idea of if you were, I don't know, going to give a quote on a 2,000 square foot house that's not super dirty and cluttered all over the place? What kind of price range could your services go for and the type of packages?
Yeah. So, this is where the customized virtual assessment is really valuable because, we can say, well, 2 organizers for one day, depending on who you hire. Everybody's got different price ranges, but say you're going to pay $750 for a day for 2 organizers. That's 6-hour day, right? And that can accomplish so much in a home that you just described, where it's literally just helping them put things away properly, declutter some items they know they're not using and they won't move with them, and just styling a little bit. You can blitz a whole house with 2 organizers doing that, right?
Wow.
It definitely is an efficient use of time, and I am always surprised, and we're always surprised with how much we get done.
Yeah, no, I can
it blows
hear
our
that.
minds.
Yeah, that's an amazing it's amazing value provided for the price, I would say. So if there was a new client that was going to work with you, just speaking about the process, right? What do you and your team do to help them get organized? And what are some common challenges that you encounter in this process? So you're at the place, how do the conversations kind of happen for divvying stuff up that they're not going to take, that they will take, those kinds of things?
Yeah, every client is different. Every situation is different, but it's pretty common that once we pull everything out of a space that we're working in and lay it out and sort it into categories, the client's not necessarily needed to be involved in that. The organizers will do that for them. And then we can take one bin of a category to the client and sit down with them and coach them through it. Some clients will look through the bin and the category and have the donation box there, their cycling bag and the trash bag there, and then the keep, bin, and they'll do it themselves. And the organizers will just be working in the room and whatever, and the client is making quick decisions and is really motivated to let go of stuff. And we're good at judging, okay, this person's having a hard time deciding.
Yeah.
And so then I'll sit with them and ask the questions that I like to ask them. How long have you had this? When was the last time you used it? How many of these do you own? How many of these do you need to keep? Really, why are you holding on to this? And start diving into some of the reasons, and they'll start telling us stories, who gave it to them, how much they spent on it, how they feel about it, and just verbally processing those things with us and them creating that space in their mind, because it gets it out of their head, right? And so they can say it out loud, and then they hear themselves saying it and they're like, oh yeah, I can get rid of this. I'm holding on to this for the wrong reason, They often will answer their own questions and stuff, and we're just there to give them a listening ear and the right questions and the space to talk about stuff. Because when you let go of it emotionally, then you physically have an easier time letting go of it. And sometimes people have to hand it to us and say, put this in the donation box for me. I can't do it. And we'll have to do it for them.
Yeah.
And that's all part of it. Yeah.
Mm. So I don't know why I'm imagining Sex in the City right now. In that movie where they're donate, keep, or
the wardrobe scene?
Yeah. I'm just thinking, is that how you guys organize? You go into somebody's and you kind of do that type of consulting?
Mm-hmm. It's 75% declutter coaching.
Wow.
And 25% organizing,
Actually, yeah.
And that's why when someone introduces me as a professional organizer, I like to add on, I'm also a declutter coach, because that's what I initially searched when I went into this business, was clutter coach. I wanted to help people with their clutter. And that's what we do, because you cannot organize clutter. Mm-hmm. You have to declutter and let go of things so that you can organize the stuff that you're using that's beneficial to you and adding value to your life. That's not clutter. If it's beneficial and adding value to your life, yes, and you're using it, it's not clutter, So that's why we need to really evaluate, what are we holding on to and why.
Another thing a visual that just came to my mind right now is TikTok's TikTok organizational hacks. And then they're selling all these Amazon products, or they have an Amazon account and they sell all these products. So is there some what's your favorite store or organizational tools that you would recommend us buying at HomeSense or at Winners or at order from online? What is your best storage box that you would buy? Anything like that, any tools?
So we really use a lot of the Sterilite bins from Walmart and Canadian Tire. Some of them have latches. Some of them are, have solid color lids, but a lot of them are clear. And that's what I really recommend to our clients, is the clear bins. You don't need to use a lid, but it's nice to have the clear so you can visually see what's in there, how much is in there, so that when you go to the store and you're looking at what's on the shelf, you can visually see in your head that bin on your shelf and what's in that bin. And then of course, Lazy Susans or turntables. Those are awesome because you can spin things and makes them easy to access. But to that point, I really have an issue with organizers that pitch a lot of product to their social media followers. And I was just talking to my boyfriend about this last night, funny enough, because it would be really easy for me to link to an Amazon store and be an affiliate and make good money pitching product. But it doesn't sit right with me yet. I don't know, maybe I'll get there one day. But because of what I deal with our clients, and I have for the last 4 years, being them owning too many things. And a lot of times we don't have to buy products to organize with the client because they own all of them. They're just not using them properly, or they're empty, and they've become the clutter in their home. And it's like they've bought these with the intention of using them, but because they can't declutter because it's so overwhelming and they can't make the decisions, then they don't actually end up using the organizing products. And it just adds to the problem.
So I also am guilty in my household of having some clutter. I've got 2 kids, and it's easy, their stuff it gets all over the place. Everything is in this one corner. It's very cluttery. It needs to be organized. Do you have, if you were going to give me 2 tips for organizing and maybe decluttering first, the kids' space, which is mixed with like our family room space, do you have 2 tips that could help our listeners and myself?
Get all your supplies ready first and schedule a block off time.
Okay.
And if you need to get childcare for that time, do it so you're not distracted, and turn all the distractions off. That's the major part of it, is being prepared and having time set aside and distractions turned off and all your supplies ready. So you're ready to declutter and, donate things and whatever. But then my second tip would be to, oh man, it's hard. I have like a 15-step workshop that gives all the steps. So I can't give you.
You can give
steps.
more. I was trying to make it easier, but if you want to say more, that's fine.
But yeah, as long as you've got your time set aside and blocked off and you're in the mental headspace to do it, and you have, your goal is, I'm going to donate a box full.
Yeah.
Like give yourself a goal, right? I'm going to donate a box full to the donation center. And then with the stuff I'm keeping, I want to make sure it's at least categorized, so that like items are together. And then you may need to involve your family in asking them, what do you play with? What do you use? What do you not need anymore?
Your first tip was the best one, because funny story, I tried to declutter with a 2-year-old next to me. I color-coded everything and organized it. And she took the pile, wrecked everything, and started reorganizing it. So all of the hard work that I did went down the drain. So thank you for that first tip. Highly valuable. So after you help your clients develop, the loss of clutter and a good organizational system, how do you help them maintain that an organizational system that works for their own unique lives and lifestyle?
Yeah, that's really, it can be a little bit tricky for some people. We find that majority of our clients are not repeat clients. And I kind of put myself out of business that way, because they, once it's organized, everything is decluttered, and they have the systems set up, and they have the boundaries with the bins, and everything's labeled. They find it quite simple to make sure that things are going back where they belong, and to enforce those boundaries on themselves, like 1 in, 1 out rule and things like that.
Yeah. Things
that we taught them while we're organizing alongside them. But we do have clients that are, needing maintenance packages every 3 to 6 months because of birthdays and Christmases. And, there's just accumulation that comes with kids as they grow up and stuff. And you just have to be, ready to do a maintenance session. I would suggest at least once a year. But it is really, really amazing how I follow up with our clients every 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years. And they're like, no, we're good. Like, it's good. Yeah.
This is where the referrals come in. This is where the referrals come in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's usually over scheduling and cluttering of your schedule. That's the problem, because then you don't have a lot of time to maintain the space. And that's why I find with my busier clients, like who are both working outside the home and they have kids who are in all these activities, it's just, they're like, oh, we just don't have the time to put it away. And I'm like, okay, well, we can come in once a month and put everything away and suggest donations. And yeah, it helps them a lot to have that.
Can you suggest or provide us with an example of something that you came across where you were working with a realtor on a particular project and it was quite challenging, but it became like a successful outcome for both you and the client and the realtor?
Yeah, for sure. So my very first job after I was allowed to go back into homes after during the pandemic, right? With protocols in place, was a realtor in a small rural town east of Edmonton. And he needed to list this home and he couldn't because of the state of it. And so he told her she needed to declutter. And they found me. She had brought in like a giant dumpster to be parked on her driveway. And I went in and you couldn't see the floor.
Wow.
I was working by myself at the time. I didn't have team members. And I was scraping like 12 inches of stuff off of the floor. And that was the most challenging job I had ever done in the last 4 years. And in my life, next to raising children.
Yeah.
Because like it was just old stuff that was dirty. It had been walked on. There was cats, let's not even talk about cats and pets in the homes, but it is so challenging. The main thing was she was ready to go through stuff that I brought out in laundry baskets to her on the front step because she couldn't be in there. She couldn't be like, I'm stirring up dust and all kinds of things. So she was working outside to sort through the salvageable looking stuff. Well, I hauled out bag after bag after bag of garbage and threw it in that dumpster.
Holy.
And she kept herself busy with the laundry basket items. And we filled the whole dumpster in like 7 days. And my van, I had 7 van loads of stuff that I told her I would take to the donation center, and they did not receive it because of the smell and the state. So she got rid of 7 minivan full of stuff plus a massive dumpster. And that realtor came back a couple weeks later, like I'd done work and then I'd taken a couple days off and then worked again. Mm-hmm. But he came back and he was like, this is amazing. You did this in 7 days. Like, I can list this place now. So it was pretty rewarding.
Which is typically not as smooth because most clients are unwilling to allow you to touch their stuff and get rid of them.
Yeah, that's one of the things that makes it a little bit hard when, a realtor is referring to me is the client needs to be willing and prepared that, we're going to be touching the stuff. Now, that's where if you don't want to get rid of it, we will put it in a box. At least it's categorized as to this is what's in this box and we can label it and it's ready to be moved when you move. And you don't have to donate it, but let's clear the space so that it looks welcoming and peaceful and calm and like someone could visualize themselves living here. And so you don't necessarily have to force a client to like declutter everything. That means like getting rid of it, right? You can ask them to just box up some things, but it's amazing when you have a professional organizer working alongside that client to help them do that. It is just less stressful for them because there's an emotional support coach helping them put it in the box and say, you're not getting rid of it. We're just boxing it up for the move. And then when you move, it's already boxed. It's easy. And then they kind of like, ooh, it looks really nice in here. Like, yeah, it's really...
I wonder if you've decluttered anyone's home and then after it's been done, they're like, oh, we don't want to sell anymore. It looks great.
Yeah. I had one bachelor. I did his bachelor pad. And after we finished decluttering and staging and organizing, it looked amazing. And he's like, I don't know if I want to move. He's like, I actually like it here right now. And I'm like, awesome. But he did list and he did sell.
What are some common misconceptions about professional organizing? And how do you educate your clients on the value of your services?
That's really, really good. I think there's quite a few common misconceptions. But when we're talking from a client's perspective, we are not going to make you throw anything away or donate anything that you don't want to, that you want to keep. We are literally just there to facilitate a question and coaching and support situation so that you can verbally process through this decision-making process. And we are making sure we ask you about every little thing. Like, I will not throw a piece of paper or packaging in the garbage or recycling until I ask, is this keep or go? Can I recycle this? Because there are clients who will say, no, I'm keeping that. No, I can use that. And that's fine. It's just, it needs to have a home and it needs to be put in a place, right? And so we'll do that for them. But there are some clients that are like, if it's paper, if it's wrapping, if it's packages, chuck it. And, sometimes we'll come across something we're like, yeah, well, is this really garbage? They're like, yep. I'm like, okay, good. But it's nice to, ask the clients, and then you can get a feel for somebody and kind of how willing they are to get rid of stuff.
In your business, are there like trends or or best practices that you need to continue like following? I'm not sure if there's like, new Netflix that comes out, or I guess Marie Kondo.
I watched that one, The Home Edit. It was very good.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
So how do you incorporate, like, who's your, I guess, favorite home organizer in the business, and also how do you incorporate like current trends or new things that come out into your practice?
That's awesome. Yeah, so we're not a regulated industry, so we don't have to follow certain practices, but obviously we have the Professional Organizers of Canada association that is, not required. It's not mandatory, but you can sign up and pay for that. And then they have courses that you can learn, tips and tricks and best practices and, safety and all that stuff. Like, you guys as realtors know all the courses you have to take, but ours aren't mandatory. So we can take them, and then it's really beneficial to be in those kind of groups and network with other professional organizers so that you can all kind of share ideas and bounce off of each other. And if you have a struggle or a situation with a client that you haven't been dealing with before, someone can give you advice or tips on that. So that's really great. The Home Edit, I didn't get through the second season. Sometimes the excitement level and the pitch of their voices, I had to turn it off. But the Marie Kondo, I love her. She's just so gentle and so calm. And I really love just her approach of like creating joy and space so that they can live their life and enjoy their family. And that's like her focus is, how can we add benefit to your life and create more space and time for the people that matter to you. And she just has such a wonderful approach. I just love her gentleness, and yeah, she's just beautiful.
So you kind of actually might have answered our next question. I'm going to ask it anyhow, just in case. Can you speak to the emotional and psychological benefits of being organized and how you see this impact your clients' lives beyond their physical space?
This is my best discussion topic, and I could go on about it for hours. So top 5 benefits that we notice are just the decreased stress and anxiety. That's huge. That's the reason why people are calling us. They've reached the end of their rope and they're stressed right out and overwhelmed and just full of anxiety about the environment. And so when we've decluttered and organized, they are just like relieved and at peace. And then they are also very empowered and become very proud and they're confident in themselves because they learn the skills by working alongside of us too. And that's my gold star. I'm like, if a person is feeling like, oh my God, I did this, I'm so proud, post the before and afters on social media, I'm so happy we did this, and they're ready to just take on the world after that. It's like, it feels so good. Saving time and money, those are amazing benefits because they're not searching for things that, they can't find. And they know they own, and then they go and buy that thing and waste that money because they can't find the thing, so they buy a new one, and then usually they come home and they find the old one.
I've done that before.
Yeah, it's common. And then also like just being able to have more time and energy for the hobbies that you enjoy, for those things that you have intentions to do, projects around the house, and spending time with your kids, right? Like, our clients are always saying, you've changed our lives, you've changed our family dynamic. The kids are so much happier. We just don't fight as much. And it's so incredible. And then I have another benefit, but it's slipped my mind.
That's okay. You can
you can add it in after.
You can tell us later.
Done.
Okay.
We always have 5 rapid fire questions to ask, and we're wondering, what advice would you have for the younger generation who are just starting out in this business that you're in?
In professional organizing?
Yeah.
Cool. I would say to get a good mentor. If you can afford to invest in a coach, because there's a lot of mistakes that you can make, and it's really good to have somebody to help you through that process. If you can't afford a coach right off the hop, there are a lot of programs that you can buy, just self-led programs. Yeah.
Tell us what your worst nightmare is when stepping into a client's home.
This is going to sound really bad, but that they have a cat.
Oh,
and there's
are you
a litter
allergic?
box. I am not allergic to cats, but it is something about the litter box.
Yeah.
I have dealt with a lot of nasty in this business, and I don't know why. It's just the litter box.
I agree, because when we go into homes and they haven't cleaned the litter box, I can't get over the smell or anything. It's awful.
It's also stepping
It's
on
awful.
the litter. It's stepping, you know how there's like always little, what do you call them?
Yeah, because the cats walk around after they use
And
it.
it's like right in front of the litter box. And when sometimes you go barefoot, sometimes in homes or with socks, and then you step on it.
Yeah, I'm a dog person. I don't have cats.
but most of our clients have pets, and we're very used to it. And it's not a problem. We go in and we do it.
Mm-hmm.
So do we. We deal with it.
You just do it.
Besides being highly organized, describe yourself in 3 words.
Ooh, resilient, outgoing, and tenacious.
Those are great descriptors.
Would you say in this, obviously in this job it's organizing, but you have to have a skill or like trait that comes innately in you to know how to like visually, I guess, have a workflow in your mind already
Yeah.
before you start?
Like strategy or something?
Yeah,
or...
like a strategy.
It's a very intensive process from start to finish. That's why a lot of people don't do it, because they're like, I'm so overwhelmed. Yes, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Just making the decision about what to keep and what to let go of is so exhausting and hard. And then you add on all the other stuff before and after. So yeah, the process is extensive, more than people think. But for me, I think the biggest thing is you have to be adaptable and a critical thinker, like to problem solve. And you're dealing with people and their emotions and everything that's tied to, the history and their background and their upbringing and why they bought that stuff and what it's tied to. And so you have to adapt to the client and be able to solve the problem as to, okay, this person isn't, wanting to let go of things, or they're maybe having trouble deciding. And then the problem solving, critical thinking of like how to lay out a space and how to organize it and what products to use. And yeah, so there's a lot of problem solving that goes into it.
I can imagine. I would hire you to do that job.
We just did an episode last week about negotiations.
Yes.
And this is also negotiating
It totally
what to donate.
100%.
That's why we all need to brush up on those skills. Which part of your home are you most proud of in terms of organization?
My kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I'm not a huge cook, but I can say in my kitchen, I know exactly where everything is. The kids know where everything is. We put it back where it belongs. It makes cooking and meal prep and cleaning really quick and efficient. And I actually don't even have enough dishes to fill my entire dishwasher to run a full load.
Wow.
Like I would run out of dishes. And so we do our dishes by hand after every meal. And it's just the task just gets done. And then it just makes it, forces you to do the task.
Yeah.
And so, I'm really proud of it. And it's always clean at the end of the day before I go to bed, because I like to wake up to a clean kitchen and make my coffee and breakfast and not be stressed.
That's the best part,
So I'm proud of that.
I have to, before I go to bed, I always have to do the dishes. Like it needs to be an empty sink.
I would love for my dishes to be done by the time I go to bed.
It's okay.
Final question. Where can our listeners find you?
My website is rosecityprofessionalorganizing.com. And there's all the information on there about my business coaching, my podcast you can listen to, speaking, if you want to hire me for workshops or presentations or conferences. And then, of course, our organizing services and our team. Instagram, we're at Rose City Organizing. And we do all our before and afters on there, and our Tip Tuesdays, client comments. And those are the best places to find
These
us.
are just like rolling off your tongue.
I know. Are you expanding out to BC?
Yeah.
Maybe you should.
I know some people in BC that I would refer to, and I'm willing to travel. Like, get me on a plane. I'm coming. I'll do it.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. You had so many great tips and tricks, and a lot of people don't know that professional decluttering and organization exists. What a breath of fresh air in the world. So thank you.
And also when they've moved, you also probably unpack and organize their home. obviously.
And get them set up so that they can just start living and not have to worry about those boxes sitting in the garage or the storage room for 5 years. I mean, we deal with clients constantly calling us. I moved 5 years ago and I'm still unpacking, and I haven't unpacked these boxes. And so we deal with that all the time. And as realtors, you guys can let people know we exist and now have some awareness of what we do and how it can help them. That is so beneficial, because a lot of people don't know we exist and they're just feeling alone and stressed out in it all. And we just want them to know that there's an organizer that is willing to help you.
Amazing.
All right, Christa. Again, rosecityprofessionalorganizing.com. We're just so excited that you're able to come, and we met you in Edmonton at one of the framework retreats. So we're excited to have met you in person, at least, and hopefully we'll be able to bring you back on for another episode. Thanks for coming on.
Great. Thanks so much for having me, ladies.
Thanks,
Krista.